So we've often heard quotes of the mother like, to smile at an enemy is to disarm him, or a smile acts upon difficulties like the sun upon cloud, it disperses them. Now this is not just poetic, it's a very, very real statement made by her. So what does it really mean? Well, Rumi says that outside the landscape is covered with thorny crust, but we have a soft garden inside. Now, what is this soft garden inside, and what is the thorny crust outside? Thorny crust outside is the world we've created through our thoughts, through our notions, all that. You know, this thought that this one's out to harm me, this will lead to this. That whole world we've created is the thorny crust. But the soft garden outside is another universe which exists within us. It's the universe of the real. It's the reality beyond our construct of the universe. And that is the universe that is spoken about. Can you let them sit on the chairs? Yeah. That is the universe that Krishna has really spoken about in his Gita, where he's assuring all of us that finally he is the mover of everything, that there's nobody else, that we have an illusion of control, but that is simply an illusion. Finally, we have very little control, and everything that needs to be controlled is really being controlled by a higher power. Now, all our stress is caused because of a lack of control, right? Think about it. Is there a single stress in your life which doesn't have its roots in, I want this outcome, what if I don't get it? And I want to control the world and situation so that I get that outcome. And the possibility of not getting that outcome frightens me. It creates stress in me, isn't it? But that is the universe we've created for ourselves. But the other universe, which we can have access to, the universe of the Gita, there Krishna is anyway controlling everything, isn't it? He says that not even a leaf falls from the tree to the earth without my sanction. So everything in my life is anyway being controlled by that higher power. So if I stop being a control freak, if I just let go, if I surrender, that anyway everything is being worked out by the higher power, and it'll somehow work out in a way that I can't imagine, and I stop stressing about it, I can find the soft garden inside. And I found these beautiful words of the mother. Listen carefully to them. Mother says, this delight, this wonderful laughter that dissolves every shadow, every pain, every suffering. You only have to go deep enough within yourself to find the inner sun, to let yourself be flooded by it, and then there is nothing but a cascade of harmonious, luminous, sunlit laughter which leaves no room for any shadow or pain. So when we first hear this, we just think it's mother talking. Now this can be her experience. Where can I have access to this kind of laughter? But it's not so. Further she says, even the greatest difficulties, even the greatest sorrows, even the greatest physical pain, if you can look at them from the standpoint from there, you see the unreality of the difficulty, the unreality of the sorrow, the unreality of the pain, and there is nothing but a joyful and luminous vibration. In fact, this is the most powerful way of dissolving difficulties, overcoming sorrows, and removing pain. So what is this that she's talking about? What is the most powerful way of removing difficulties, pain and sorrow? What is she really speaking of? She's saying that, as I said, one is the universe on the surface, woven with our thoughts, our concepts. Freya, you can come here if you need a backrest. Where we constantly feel we have to struggle to survive, struggle to keep ourselves safe, and we feel we have to control circumstances, otherwise we'll be doomed. And when we are inhabiting that universe, we get terribly serious about life and we get terribly serious about ourselves, right? But if you go within, if you go into your heart space and you find that smile within, which is nothing but the divine presence within, which is Mother's presence within, and that presence is best described as an immutable smile. Mother says that behind all that was, all there is, all that will be, is thy divine immutable smile. So if we find that smile inside us, don't look so perplexed, it's not so difficult. We all have this, we just have to find it. So if we find that smile inside us, then whatever happens, it doesn't affect us. And what gives us access to the smile? What would give us access to that smile? Faith, right? See, I discussed this last class also. Sri Aurobindo has given the most mind-blowing definition of faith. He says faith is something that's already there inside you, like an intuition that knows that this whole world is a manifestation of God intelligence. Whole world is good, it's a friendly universe, that everything is being taken care of. All that already exists as a knowing deep down, but it's covered up by the clouds of our thinking. So this universe of joy and faith inside us is covered up by the external universe, which is doubting, which is struggling to get a control it never has. And that's what's most frightening for us. we are always struggling to get a control which constantly slips our grasp. We control this, something else goes amiss, then we start running to control that. And all our life we live in fear and anxiety because we want to control outcomes. But we've lost touch with that faith inside us, which is ever present and smiling. So if you read about stories of the mother, she was always a mother who was laughing and smiling. She never took anything seriously. She, in her later years, when she was doing cellular experiments and she'd get all kinds of physical illnesses also, she'd be laughing at the illnesses. She never took anything seriously, not because she was flippant, but because she was so deep that she knew the truth of things. So that's what she's saying here. In fact, that this is the most powerful way of dissolving difficulties, overcoming sorrows and removing pain. The first two are relatively easy. I say relatively. The last one that is removing pain, is more difficult because we are in the habit of considering the body and its feelings to be extremely concrete and positive. But it is the same thing. It is simply because we have not learned. We are not in the habit of regarding our body as something fluid, plastic, uncertain and malleable. This is very important. We take physical illnesses very seriously, and slightest thing goes wrong in our body, we start thinking, "Arey, this will happen, that will happen, what should I do?" But Mother says that's because we are in the habit of regarding our body as something solid. We haven't learned that it is something fluid. It's like a river flowing, quantum physics. It's plastic, it's uncertain. Don't take a physical health condition for granted. It's uncertain. The health is uncertain, the ill health is uncertain. But what is uncertain to me is fully seen by the higher intelligence that controls the body. So we should not get too baffled by this going wrong and start tying ourselves up into knots, because that's the nature of the body. It is going to constantly change, go through this and that and whatever. But from behind, that force is looking after it. So we have not learned to bring into it this luminous laughter that dissolves all darkness, all difficulty, all discord, all disharmony. Everything that jars, that weeps and wails. So she's saying, even when you're physically not well, instead of taking those symptoms of illness very seriously, learn to laugh at them. Learn to just say that you're also a mask of the divine. She says, just teach your consciousness to believe that the body is divine in its essence. That's the key to good health. Because otherwise, the body is so uncertain and such an unknown. We don't know what's going on inside it, right? So it frightens us, the least little thing. But that way we don't know the divine also. But we are not scared, right? So if you keep reminding yourself that the body is divine in its essence, and anything divine knows how to look after itself, unless I block its functioning by negative thinking about it. Just leave it, smile at it, leave it, and leave it to that which became this body to look after it. So it's not in the PDF, but there are these beautiful lines from Savitri. I'll just read them to you. A smile on her lips welcomed earth's bliss and griefs. She is here the psychic being. The mother's presence within each of our hearts. So she's saying a smile on her lips welcomed earth's bliss and grief. She didn't take the bliss very seriously, she didn't take the grief very seriously. So a smile welcomed it. A laugh was her return to pleasure and pain. She just laughed. This was a mother who just laughed at everything, and the psychic being, which is the portion of her within us, has the same capacity. All things she saw as a masquerade of truth. Why did she laugh? Because she didn't take the masks life wore very seriously. All things she saw as a masquerade of truth disguised in costumes of ignorance, crossing the years to immortality. All she could front with the strong spirit's peace. So everything, whatever happened, she saw as a masquerade. You know what a masquerade is, where people come wearing masks. As a masquerade of truth, disguised in costumes of ignorance. So everything that's happening is a truth, but it's wearing different masks. Mother says, no, that never feel afraid of anyone, because everyone is me wearing a silly mask. So it's the same thing. Crossing the years to immortality, all she could front with the strong spirit's peace. So that's what the psychic being within us is capable of. So no point reading Mother's words and not bringing them into our lives. So let's see, let's bring it into us. Sit tall. Put your right hand at the center of your chest and the left palm over it. Feel your breath and go into a space an inch or so behind your palms, into what we often come back to again and again to refer to as the heart space. So gather all the scattered threads of your awareness and plunge them into the heart space. If you like, see the Mother's image there. If you like, don't, whatever works for you. But tune into a smile inside. It will help hugely if you allow your lips to relax into a smile. Smiling heart, smiling lips, smiling eyes. Those of you who were present for the morning yoga class, recollect what you felt there and strengthen it just now. Smiling lips, smiling heart, smiling eyes, and breathe. Whenever you feel the smile, relax your hands and let your face actually relax into a smile. Beautifully said. That all illness comes from the loss of the inner smile, and all healing is a recovery of this inner smile. That's what Mother says, that the best way to disperse difficulty and pain is to find this luminous smile ever present in our depths. This smile that never says an ouch when things get difficult. It just relaxes, smiles, and recognizes an opportunity in the difficulty. So if you felt it now, remember when difficulties come, just retreat within and tune into this smile. Remember Mother's words? A smile acts upon difficulties like the sun upon clouds. It disperses them. So I'll be quiet just for a minute longer. See if you can stay breathing with smiling eyes, smiling lips, and smiling heart. This smile, that is the doorway through which the light of the higher self enters your being. even when you open your eyes, see if one part of you can keep tuning into that inner smile. And if the entire day I make it a priority to connect with this inner smile and then do things, I'll have a leverage to do everything better than I would if I didn't have this inner connect. And slowly open your eyes. So now we come to Sri Aurobindo's words on the way of the Gita. He says, equality, detachment, renunciation of the fruits of work, complete self-surrender to Krishna, desireless work, freedom from bondage of the three modes of nature, and pursuit of one's own law of works. These are the fundamental truths of the Gita. Complete self-renounced, equality, being equal to whatever happens, because you recognize that whatever happens is happening by the higher will. So I don't have to react to it, whether it seems good or bad. That famous line from Savitri, only for good the secret will can work. So equality, complete self-surrender to Krishna. So that smile paves the way for self-surrender. When you are not surrendered and you are trying to control the reins of your chariot, you get terribly serious. But if you are in that state of surrender, you just smile wherever you are taken through the Kurukshetra. Desireless work. So you work. This is a little difficult and maybe not achievable for us when we are very young and our ambition is strong. But we can keep it as an ideal for at some point. Freedom from the bondage of the three modes of nature, the three gunas, and pursuit of one's own law of works. These are the fundamental truths of the Gita. The Lord has glorified these precepts as the highest knowledge and the most secret mystery. The Lord has said, Gahano karmano gati. Thick and tangled is the way of works. Even the wise are perplexed. What is duty and what is not duty? What is work and what is not work? What is wrong work? This is constantly for us. No, even when we are students, should I do this education? Should I do this degree? Should I do this subject? What is wrong work? But I shall give you a knowledge such that you will have no difficulty in finding the path to follow. In a word, a knowledge which will amply explain the aim of life and the law which has to be always observed. What is this knowledge? Where can we find the word of words? We believe that if we look for this rare and invaluable treasure, we shall find it in the last chapter of the Gita, where the Lord promises to reveal to Arjuna his most secret and supreme word, which is often called the Uttamam Rahasya, where Krishna tells Arjuna that out of my love for you, I am going to reveal to you the secret of all secrets, and that is captured in 2 sutras of the Gita, 2 verses. What is the most secret and supreme word? So that's this mantra which we did today morning. Man mana bhava, which means become me-minded. Krishna is telling Arjuna, be me-minded. Me-minded means see me in everything. If you see me in everything, you can't be frightened of anything and you can't recoil from anything, right? If you see me in this body also, any ache and pain or something going amiss in the body, you know it's me. You know I'm in the pain and I will take it away when the time comes. So I don't go into a flap about it. So manmana bhava is see me in everything. Mad bhakto, become a devotee of me only, adore me and love me in the whole of creation. Madhyaji, yaji is sacrifice. Whatever work you do, do it as an offering to me, not as an offering to the ego. That's a little difficult to do, because if we don't do it out of the ego's ambition, most of the times we won't have motivation to do anything. But we can think that, what does it mean to do it for God? For example, if I want to study, what does it mean to study for Krishna or for God? Because what benefit will God get out of me studying? Any idea? Or if I'm cooking, why would God need me to cook? How can I offer that to him? Huh?
Maybe without any expectations, so the ego is less.
Yeah, but what is it to do it for him?
What if it's to offer it to the divine and everyone else?
Very good. When I'm cooking, I don't think I want to cook so that my husband praises me, but I'm offering it as an offering to the divine in family members or whatever. If I'm studying to bring out the divine in me, right? I'm offering my mind body as an instrument so that you can bring out the best in me. So the key to it is manmana bhava, to really constantly hold the smaran or the remembrance that everything is God. So I can't do for anything. It's beautiful in Synthesis of Yoga, Sri Aurobindo says that whatever emotion you feel towards anyone, know that you're feeling it towards God, because everyone is God. That's sobering, no? When you're really hating someone or whatever, it's reminding you you're hating God. So manmana bhavo mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Bow your head with gratitude and humility to me. So this is important. Very often when we do something well, we get a little puffed up about ourselves, or we feel a little arrogant, or we feel flattered. But this is Krishna's adesh, that remember that you couldn't have done it without my hand on your back. So instead of feeling you did it and feeling arrogant about it, mam namaskuru. Bow in gratitude and humility to me. So as Sri Aurobindo says it beautifully, somebody of his stature, who was the elitist among elite of human beings with his intellect and all that, but he says, I'm the meteor dust of your flaming grace. Somebody like him, that kind of humility, I'm simply the meteor dust of your flaming grace. So mam namaskuru, always remember to be grateful, not because I have any ego which wants your gratitude, but that gratitude will keep you in balance. If you let arrogance go to your head and feel flattered, it will pave the way for your downfall. But if you stay with humility and gratitude to me, that's your kavach through life, that's your protection. So mam namaskuru, mame vaishyasi satyam te prati jane priyo sime. To me you will come, mame vaishyasi satyam te, that's the truth. Prati jane priyo sime, know that this is the truth because you are dear to me. Prati jane priyo sime, you're dear to me. I will bring you to me. You don't have to struggle to find me, because you are so dear to me. I will find a way to bring you to me. Yeah? So let's just do it. It's a very beautiful mantra. Again, shut your eyes and find the inner smile. And those of you who were there for the morning class and know it can sing with me. Second time we'll repeat each phrase twice. Second time with me. So first time we'll sing it through. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. I'll repeat each phrase twice, second time with me. Manmana bhava madbhakto, manmana bhava madbhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te, mame vaishyasi satyam te, pratijane priyosi me, pratijane priyosi me. Now you can read from the paper and sing with me all together. Manmana bhava madbhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mame vaishyasi satyam te, pratijane priyosi me, pratijane priyosi me. Just this beautiful reassurance in the last line, know that you are dear to me. If I remember that I am the beloved of that one who controls the whole universe, how can I ever be afraid? And this is the Lord declaring to me that I am truly His beloved. Pratijane priyosi me. So this brings me to a very beautiful story about Krishna. We always see Krishna playing the flute, dancing. We rarely ever see him meditating, because Shiva is shown meditating, but Krishna is always dancing and playing. So once there's a story that when some devotees went to Krishna's palace, they found him meditating and it was unusual. So they asked him, Lord, the whole world meditates on you. What could you possibly be meditating on? So he smiled and said, you meditate on me because you love me. I also love you, so I meditate on you. So he was meditating on his devotees. So now Sri Aurobindo's explanation of this verse: become my-minded, my lover and adorer, a sacrificer to me. Bow thyself to me thou shalt come. This is my pledge and promise to thee, for dear art thou to me. And then of course the second verse, which we are not doing, the Sarva Dharman one. In brief, the meaning of these two shlokas, but I'll read what he says, it's very beautiful. Abandon all dharmas, sarva dharman parityajya, take refuge in me alone, mamekam sharanam vraja. You remember we did it in school when we did Vedvyasa? Okay. So mamekam sharanam vraja, come to me alone for shelter. Aham tva sarva papebhyo, I will liberate you from all sense of sin. Ma shucha, do not grieve. In brief, the meaning of these two shlokas is self-surrender. To the extent that one can make his surrender to Krishna, the divine force comes down into his body by the grace of the All-Merciful, delivering him from sin and conferring on him a divine nature. The self-surrender has been described in the first half of the shloka. One has to be tanmana, manmana, like you-minded. I have to be you-minded. Tad bhakto, devoted to you. Tad yaji, offering all sacrifice to you. Tanmana means to see him in every being, to remember him at all times, to remain in perfect felicity, being aware of the play of his power. So this whole thing, this whole world is his play, and he has absolute power over every step of the play. Knowledge and love in all works and events. Tad Bhakta signifies union with him, founded on an entire faith and love. Tadyaji means offering all works, large and small, as a sacrifice to Krishna, and engaging in rightly regulated action to that end, by giving up egoistic interests and the fruits of work. So this reminds me, I was speaking to a young boy this week, and he's a young South Bombay college boy, and every evening he feels the need to go to a temple, whether it's a Shiva or a Krishna temple, and actually do abhishek and do all that. And all his friends tell him that, why do you do this in this day and age? Who does that? And so I also asked him that, do you do it out of fear and superstition that something will go wrong if you don't do it? So he gave me such a beautiful answer. He said, no, whole day Krishna does so much for me and I'm not able to do anything for him. So in the evening, I just feel I'm doing something for him. Now if he's doing it out of that space, nobody can tell him not to do it, no? I mean, if it's coming from that space, it doesn't even matter which temple he goes to, what he does. It doesn't matter if he sits at home and does it. But that's the bhav, that I want to do it because I want to do something for you. It is difficult for a human being to make a complete self-surrender, but if he makes even a little effort, then God himself gives him assurance, becomes his guru, protector and friend, and leads him forward on the path of yoga. Even a little of this dharma delivers one from great fear. What dharma? See, when Krishna is saying sarva dharman parityajya, give up all your other fixed ways of being that hold you in fear and anxiety and embrace this one dharma the Gita talks about. What is that one dharma? Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. So even a little bit of embracing this dharma will free you from all fear and all anxiety. He has said that it is easy and delightful to practice this dharma, and in fact it is so. Yet the result of the total consecration is inexpressible joy, purity and acquisition of power. Mame vaishyasi, to me thou shalt come, means the human being will find me, will live with me, will acquire my nature. So come to me doesn't mean I'll go to some heaven where I'll find him. What does it mean? The human being will find me, will live with me, will acquire my nature, the God nature. In these words, the realization of Sadrishya, God nature, Salokya, living with God, and Sayujya, identification with God, are mentioned. And then there's this very sweet song my yoga teacher has composed in English. It says, I see you in everything, all the rest forget. I know you, you're everything, I'll never more forget. But if I do, I know that you will save me from the net. Your love is so big that even if I forget it's you, you will save me from the net. And then once more, I'll know for sure, and then I won't forget. But if I do, because I'm such a confused human being, you'll keep saving me, I'll keep forgetting. But if I do, even that is you. Because God is everything, no? Even if I forget, that's you. And the supreme diplomat will make our fall a means for a greater rise. However, even a little practice of this dharma gives great power, unalloyed joy, complete happiness and purity. This dharma hasn't been created only for people with special qualities. Then the 3 stumbling blocks to faith. Now these are Mother's words. Those who have what they call an unshakable faith in the divine and say, it is the divine who is doing everything, who can do everything. All that happens in me, others, everywhere is the work of the divine and the divine alone. If they follow this with some kind of logic, after some time they will blame the divine for the most terrible wrongs which take place in the world. And this is very common, no? You are taught that everything is happening by the control of the divine. That's what we said even today. Then you will blame the divine for everything that's going wrong. And you will say, why should I have faith in a God who's so indifferent or so careless, who's made such a terrible world? There's that Hindi song, no? Dunya banane wale, kya tere man mein aayi, kaisi ye dunya banai, something like that. So that's what this is talking about. They will blame the divine for all the most terrible things which take place in the world and make him a real demon, cruel and frightful, if they have no trust. So they have faith that God is doing everything, but they don't have trust in the love God has for the world and in themselves. Or again, they do have faith, but they tell themselves, well, I have faith in the divine, but this world, I see quite well what it's like. First of all, I suffer so much, don't I? I'm very unhappy, far more unhappy than all my neighbors. No, when we are unhappy, I seem to be the most unhappy person. I'm more unhappy than everyone else. For one is always more unhappy than all one's neighbors. I'm very unhappy and truly life is cruel to me. But then the divine is divine. He is all goodness, all generosity, all harmony. So how is it that I'm so unhappy? He must be powerless. Otherwise, being so good, I'm so good, how could he make me suffer so much? No, this is a dialogue we all feel. I'm so good, I help others so much. God must be good, but he must be a powerless good. If he had power, why would he make me suffer so much? This is the second stumbling block, Mother says. And the third, there are people who have what may be called a warped and excessive modesty or humility, who tell themselves, surely the divine has thrown me out. I'm good for nothing. He loves everyone else, but I'm no good. Mother doesn't like me. She won't do anything for me. He can do nothing with me. The only thing for me to do is give up the game, for he finds me unworthy of him. So unless one adds to faith a total and complete trust in the divine grace, there will be difficulties. So both are necessary. So here she is distinguishing between faith and trust. Yeah, faith is the knowing that this whole world is God, everything is God. But trust is having faith in his love and his power. You can think he loves me, but who knows, the belief system could be, is he powerful enough to bail me out of this? Is he strong enough to? Will he really do the miracle for me? Can he do it? So the thing is, with faith, there should be absolute trust in God's infinite love and infinite power and infinite control over everything. There's those beautiful lines from Savitri. One who has made this world is ever its Lord. He has absolute control. Our errors are his steps upon the way. He works through the fierce vicissitudes this way and that of our lives. He works through them, through taking us through all the roller coaster rides. He is working out our evolution for us. He works through the fierce vicissitudes of our lives. He works through the hard breath of battle and toil. Whatever Kurukshetras we are taken to, He's working through them. He works through our sins and sorrows and our tears. Our sins are also not bad, because God is working through our sins also to make us grow. Because that's also God. Even if I do, even that is you. Remember? Even if I forget. He works through our sins and sorrows and our tears. Whatever the appearance we must bear, whatever is the appearance of life, good, bad, whatever our strong ills and present fate, when nothing we can see but drift, I don't know where I'm going, and bale, sadness, a mighty guidance leads us still through it all. Beautiful lines. Whatever the appearance we must bear, whatever our strong ills and present fate, when nothing we can see but drift and bale, a mighty guidance leads us still through all. It is only by remaining perfectly peaceful and calm with an unshakable confidence and faith in the divine grace that you will allow circumstances to be as good as they can be. So what happens to you outside depends on the inner attitude you have towards it. You get a physical illness, how quickly it will heal will depend on what attitude you have towards it. If you give in to fear, you're prolonging it. If you have trust and faith within, you're shortening it and helping the divine to heal you faster. And this applies to every situation in life. The very best happens always to those who have put their entire trust in the divine and in the divine alone. Mother says, never grumble. All sorts of forces enter you when you grumble and they pull you down. Keep smiling. I seem always to be joking, but it is not mere joking. It is a confidence born from the psychic. So beautiful. She's saying, I seem to be always joking. When the finances of the ashrams were difficult, when there was calamity, whatever, I was never serious. I was always joking and smiling, and not because I was flippant and not caring, but it comes from a confidence born from the psychic, what we spoke about. A smile expresses the faith that nothing can stand against the divine, and that everything will come out all right in the end. It's such a beautiful sentence. A smile expresses the faith that nothing can stand against the divine, and that everything will come out all right in the end. Next passage I did in the beginning. Sri Aurobindo's words from Synthesis of Yoga. There is one kind of faith demanded as indispensable by the integral yoga, and that must be described as faith in God and the Shakti, faith in the presence and power of the divine in us and the world, a faith that all in the world is the working of one divine Shakti, that all steps of the yoga, its strivings and sufferings and failures, as well as its successes and satisfactions and victories, are utilities and necessities of her workings, and that by a firm and strong dependence on and a total self-surrender to the divine and to his Shakti in us, we can attain to oneness and freedom and victory and perfection. Again, a very beautiful passage from Synthesis. This Shraddha, the English word faith, is inadequate to express it, is in reality an influence from the Supreme Spirit, and its light a message from our supramental being, which is calling the lower nature to rise out of its petty present to a great self-becoming and self-exceeding. Let me explain it. It's very beautiful. Sri Aurobindo is saying that Shraddha is an faith. It's not coming from the mind. It's a intuition coming from our spirit, from our Atma, a message from our supramental being, that part of us whose frequencies are above the mind. It's an intuition or a wisdom coming from there. So it's not a blind belief. Faith is actually a knowing in our depths. So it's a call from a higher nature, calling to the lower nature to rise out of its petty present to a great self-becoming and a self-exceeding. So faith is like a hand of light, reaching out from our higher nature to our lower nature to pull it up. That's so beautiful, na? It's such a beautiful definition of faith. And that which receives the influence and answers to the call is not so much the intellect, the heart, or the life mind, but the inner soul, which better knows the truth of its destiny and the mission. So these are beautiful occurrences from the mother's life. You know, mother used to name flowers, right? She used to hold them and feel their vibration and give them names. So this is regarding a flower with the significance material power to heal. This flower was called material power to heal. So mother says, I would like that to be permanently established. The material power to heal, I would like it to be permanently established. When someone tells me I have a pain here, I pass my hand like this and it's gone. Yeah, mother's hand had that power. The hands, you can bow down. The hands they feel it is possible. They are so conscious of the vibration. They feel that anything is possible. So beautiful. Mother actually felt this material power to heal in her hands. So she says the hands they feel it is possible. They are so conscious of the vibration. They feel that anything is possible. The other day, E fell down. I don't know how, and she injured her knee. And she was covered with bruises and scratches. Then this hand, mother's right hand, quite spontaneously went and pressed over her knee like that. And I felt all the vibrations at my fingertips. It is like needles, needles of light. Mother's fingertips felt like they were giving out needles of light. And it vibrates and vibrates and vibrates. So I put my hand like that. And suddenly she said, oh, she was flabbergasted. All the pain was gone. Imagine you've fallen down, you've bruised, you're in a lot of pain, and somebody just touches your knee and all the pain is gone. I have seen Sri Aurobindo, mother says, when someone came to him with an acute pain somewhere, oh, it hurts here, oh, it hurts, oh. He said nothing. He remained calm. He looked at the person and I saw something like a subtle physical hand which came out. So Sri Aurobindo didn't even use his physical hand. Mother had the vision. She saw a subtle physical hand come out of Sri Aurobindo's hand, took hold of the little point dancing about in disorder and confusion and took it like this, and there everything had gone. That's the grace of the Guru. Oh, look, my pain has gone. Okay, this is very, very important. So please pay great attention. Mother says, note that this power of formation has a great advantage if one knows how to use it. She's talking the power of mental formations. So she's actually saying that whatever we think, it has an energy formation. It's like an entity which has a life of its own. So if we make a mental formation of fear, it's like a living entity which has a life of its own. If we make a mental formation of faith, it's an entity which has a life of its own. So we have to be very careful of what we think. So mother says, note that this power of formation has a great advantage if one knows how to use it. One can make good formations, and if you make them properly, they will act in the same way as others. You can do a lot of good to people just by sitting quietly in your room, perhaps even more good than by undergoing a lot of trouble externally. If you know how to think correctly with force and intelligence and kindness, if you love someone and wish him well, very sincerely, deeply, with all your heart, that does him much good, much more certainly than you think. So if somebody is ill, for example, or unhappy, and you get all worked up and worried about them, you're making a mental formation of anxiety, and that's going to harm them. Instead of flapping around them with this negative mental formation, mother says, don't even go to them, sit quietly, make a good mental formation, and it will help the person far more. So I hadn't read this, but an example from my life, it happened years ago. Somebody abroad very close to me was very ill, and I used to feel very stressed thinking about him, because maybe my faith wasn't as strong then, and any thought of him would be like a heavy cloud sitting on my head. And then suddenly something inside me said that by worrying, Pratna, that by worrying about him, I'm sending him negative energy. Now mother has said, I'm sending him a negative mental formation which is going to harm him. So I decided that every thought of worry that would come about him, I would change to a formation of light. I would see him happy, I would see him on the mother's lap, I would see him healed, and I would actually believe that. And he somehow didn't believe in the mother before that. I'd brought him here, but he said, this is not my thing, I don't connect. So I left it. Well, you can only bring a person, beyond that it's their call. But now when he was in hospital and he was speaking to me, I never mentioned mother once, but maybe I was holding her in my consciousness. So he said, tell me more about this mother of yours. I feel very peaceful when you talk about her. And I said, but I've never mentioned her. So he said, no, of course you have. And I'm 100, I hadn't. He just picked up something. So then he said, you send me her pictures. So I couriered him her pictures. The doctor doing his tests abroad was wearing mother's symbol ring. And she pulled out a picture of them. He asked her, is that mother's symbol? And she pulled out mother's picture and showed him. And thereafter everything changed. Everything became well. I like to think that if I had continued making that negative formation, things may not have changed so rapidly. So correct yourself when you worry about people, because you're not doing them good. You're doing yourself to infinite harm, but you're definitely not doing them good. If you make positive, happy formations, like what Joe Dispenza did last time with his spine, remember we discussed it, make a formation like that of the person and send it, you'll help the person far, far more. So, I have said this often, for example, to those who are here, who learn that someone in their family is very ill, and feel that childish impulse of wanting to rush immediately to the spot to attend to the sick person. So very often if people in the ashram, they got news that their family members were ill, they'd want to leave the ashram and go, and mother would say, I would tell them this. I tell you, unless it is an exceptional case and there is nobody to attend to the sick person, and at times even in such a case, if you know how to keep the right attitude and concentrate with affection and goodwill upon the sick person, if you know how to pray for him and make helpful formations, you will do him much more good than if you go to nurse him. Quite radical, no? That if you just sit still, you don't even go to that person, and you just make good formations about the person, you will do him far more good. In short, all the things anybody, you will do him much more good than if you go nurse him, feed him, help him wash himself. In short, all the things anybody can do. Anybody can nurse a person, but not everybody can make good formations and send out forces that act for healing. It is obvious that thought forms a part of one of the methods, quite an important part. I have already told you several times that if one thinks clearly and powerfully, one makes a mental formation, and that every mental formation is an entity independent of its fashioner. She is making quite a statement. Every mental formation is an energy entity, having its own life and tending to realize itself in the mental world. I don't mean that you see your formation with your physical eyes, but it exists in the mental world and it has its own particular independent existence. If you have made a formation with a definite aim, its whole life will tend to the realization of this aim. Therefore, if you want to help someone at a distance, you have only to formulate very clearly, very precisely and strongly the kind of help you want to give and the result you wish to obtain. That will have its effect. I cannot say that it will be all powerful, for the mental world is full of innumerable formations of this kind, and naturally they clash and contradict one another. Hence the strongest and most persistent will have the best of it. Now, what is it that gives strength and persistence to mental formations? It is emotion and will. If you know how to add to your mental formation an emotion, affection, tenderness, love, an intensity of will, a dynamism, it will have a much greater chance of success. And this is the first method. It is within the scope of all those who know how to think, and even more for those who know how to love. So beautiful. So let's do it now. We are in such a beautiful place. All of us have something we are worried about. Yeah? So let's work with that. Sit up straight. So just bring to mind what you're worried about. It could be your own health condition of a loved one, emotional health, your health, or the emotional health of a loved one, or a situation. And whenever you think of it, the old mental formation of, oh my God, what will happen? And that sinking feeling comes. Remember Mother's words. Every mental formation is like an energy entity by itself. Whenever you worry about someone, you're actually sending negative energy to that person. But it's a double-edged sword. If I can send negative mental formations, why not change it? Why not make a positive mental formation and send it? So whatever you're worried about, create a film in your mind. Write the story of the outcome as you want it to be, and then become the movie creator. See that movie being played, that person happy, healthy, maybe on mother's feet or on her lap, whatever works for you or yourself. And mother says what makes the positive mental formation work is emotion. Bring the emotion of will, passion, love. Allow yourself to feel as if it's already happening. And stay creating this mental formation for a few, 1 or 2 minutes. Again and again negative thoughts will come. As you're making this positive mental formation, the mind will again say, Arey, but how is this possible? This is the reality. Just use your will. Don't let one negative thought come, and even if it comes, don't pay attention to it. Pay attention only to the positive mental formation. And whenever you're complete with it, slowly open your eyes and make this a habit. Whenever a negative mental formation arises, immediately create a positive one. But as I said, the power is limited, Mother says, and there is a great competition in that world. Therefore, even if one has no knowledge at all but has trust in the divine grace, if one has faith that there is something in the world like the divine grace, and that this something can answer a prayer, that's the whole thing. We pray, but we don't pray with belief. Do we really believe that something will answer my prayer? That's the question. So that's what she's saying. She's so precise in her language that this something can answer a prayer, an aspiration, an invocation. And then after making one's mental formation, if one offers it to the grace and puts one trust in it and asks it to intervene, and has faith that it will intervene, then indeed one has a chance. So it's not enough to make this mental formation. Then you'd see that mental formation dropping at Mother's feet and asking her to intervene and make it happen. Try and you will surely see the result, Mother says. And then again, this last verse, which is Mother's words. If you want to contact the intuition, you must keep this, Mother indicates the forehead, completely immobile. Active thought must be stopped as far as possible, and the entire mental faculty must form at the top of the head and a little further above, if possible, a kind of mirror, very quiet, very still, turned upwards in silent, very concentrated attention. So very often we are confused, we don't know what to do, because with our mind we can never know. So she says, if you want guidance of the intuition from the truth consciousness, you have to make your mind very silent and turn the consciousness upwards like a mirror. If you succeed, you can, perhaps not immediately, but you can have the perception of the drops of light falling upon the mirror from a still unknown region and expressing themselves as a conscious thought which has no connection with all the rest of your thought, since you have been able to keep it silent. That's the real beginning of intellectual intuitions. If you just keep quiet and concentrate above the head, the thought won't come from your brain, it will come from above your head, and you'll get the precise guidance for what you need to do. It is a discipline to be followed. For a long time, one may try and not succeed. But as soon as one succeeds in making a mirror still and attentive, one always obtains a result. Not necessarily with a precise form of thought, but always with the sensation of a light coming from above. And then, if one can receive this light coming from above without entering immediately into a whirl of activity, receive it in calm and silence and let it penetrate deep into the being, then after a while it expresses itself either as a luminous thought or as a very precise indication here. Mother indicates to the heart in this other center. There comes a time when one feels a kind of inner guidance, something which is leading one very perceptibly in all that one does. But then for the guidance to have its maximum power, one must naturally add to it a conscious surrender. One must be sincerely determined to follow the indication given by the higher force. So we end with this. So let's try through the week to really adopt this dharma of the Gita. So can anyone tell me what is the dharma of the Gita that we spoke about at the beginning of class? Yeah, Avantika? Very good. Man mana bhava, the first part. To constantly remind yourself that everything is God. So Sri Aurobindo calls this smaran, and smaran itself is a very powerful practice. To keep reminding yourself, I'm not seeing Shaivi or Priya or Prarthana, I'm seeing God wearing different forms, different faces. When somebody yells at me, that's the challenge. When I feel a negative emotion towards somebody, Sri Aurobindo's reminder that every emotion you feel towards anyone, you're feeling it towards God, because everyone is God. So that is one dharma. The second dharma is mad bhakto. Not only see God in everything, love God in everything. There's that beautiful line in Savitri, feeling the intimacy of God everywhere. You feel intimate with everything because everything's God. Nobody is outside God, right? So your whole behavior towards everything, everyone, even material things changes if you stay with this smaran that everything is God. Madhyaji, offer all your doing to God. If everything is God, then whatever I'm doing, let me keep it in mind that I'm offering it to God. Because whoever I give it to, finally it's God who's the receiver. Mam namaskuru. When you do well, don't get puffed up with arrogance or feel flattered. Always bow to me with humility and gratitude. That gratitude is a much more fulfilling emotion than conceit, isn't it? Conceit has a bad taste to it. It feels good for the moment, but it takes you away from something very precious. But if you receive success with gratitude and humility, then you pave the way for more success to come. Because they say, no, pride comes before fall. So if you have gratitude, you won't fall, or you'll fall much less. So these are the 4 dharmas of the Gita. That was the first shloka. Second shloka, which we didn't go into detail, sarva dharman parityajya, give up all other ways of being. And mamekam sharanam vraja, you come to me how? By following these 4 dharmas. Remember, see me in everything, love me in everything, do everything offering it to me, and whatever the result of it, bow in humility and gratitude to me. Whether you succeed or you fail, offer me your failures, offer me your successes. Yeah, so these 4 things, let's just not leave it as theory, because then it's pointless. Let's try and bring it into our life through the week. Okay, now let's sit tall, hands in a namaste at the heart. Take a long, slow inhalation. Breathe out with Om. Om.